The phrase, I can, I will, I must, is more than a catchy mantra. It is a three-step ignition sequence for personal transformation. Say it aloud and feel the way your posture straightens, your chest expands, and your thinking sharpens. Each word shifts the mind into a higher gear. I can opens the door of possibility. I will locks commitment into place. And I must welds purpose to urgency. Spoken together, the trio forges an unbreakable chain of belief, action, and necessity that pulls you forward even when circumstances push back. I can is the birth of every breakthrough. It is the moment you refuse to let past limitations forecast future performance. The instant you choose curiosity over doubt. Picture a child who spent her early years in leg braces after polio attacked her muscles. Doctors predicted a lifetime of fragility, yet she whispered, I can run. That whisper became a daily experiment, one trembling step, then another, until those legs carried Wilma Rudolph across finish lines the world once said she would never reach. Your own declaration may not be about sprinting, but the principle is identical. Ability begins as permission you grant yourself to try, and the human spirit responds to that permission with surprising creativity. When you repeat, I can, you train your brain to hunt for options instead of excuses. Challenges reframe themselves as puzzles, not roadblocks. The project no one has solved becomes your laboratory. The skill you have never mastered becomes a new adventure in neuroplasticity. Every small success carved from this mindset feeds the next attempt, like rungs on a ladder that did not exist until you stepped onto them. In this phase, imagination is your greatest ally, because you must see the invisible bridge before you can set foot on it. Once possibility is accepted, I will turns the spark into a flame. These two words are a contract you sign with yourself, a public commitment, even if the audience is only a bathroom mirror. I will erases the exit ramp of procrastination. It places the power of choice squarely on your shoulders. Consider the story of a man who looked at a scale, groaning under nearly 300 pounds, and at a Navy SEAL recruitment standard that seemed galaxies away. I will change, he wrote on a whiteboard. That pledge dragged him out of bed before dawn, shoved him through miles of pavement, and split his hands against pull-up bars until the reflection in the mirror finally matched the resolve in his mind. Your own I will might involve finishing a degree, launching a business, or rebuilding a fractured relationship. But the mechanics are identical. Decision begets discipline, and discipline sustained reshapes reality. Commitment also clarifies which sacrifices are worth making. When you tell yourself, I will write the book, late-night television loses its charm. When you decide, I will save for the down payment, impulse purchases lose their grip. Will is the internal compass that keeps you oriented toward true north when distractions swirl like magnetic storms around the needle. It forces daily choices to answer one simple question. Does this help or hinder the vow I made? The final piece, I must, adds the weight of destiny to the journey. Urgency is a powerful sculptor. It chisels away laziness, polishes focus, and hardens resolve. I must means quitting is not an option you keep in your back pocket for difficult days. It is an erased word in your vocabulary. Think of the aspiring novelist who collected rejection letters like confetti. 12 publishers said no, a 13th finally said yes, and the Harry Potter series was born. For J.K. Rowling, the leap from hope to necessity was the difference between a manuscript gathering dust and a story that ignited imaginations worldwide. When a goal becomes a moral imperative, when you believe lives will be poorer, dreams dimmer, or talents wasted if you stop staying the course, feels less like discipline and more like duty. I must also shield you against the seduction of comfort, Comfort whispers that today's effort was good enough. Urgency replies that excellence does not negotiate with average. Comfort insists that circumstances are unfavorable. Necessity reminds you that history is full of victories snatched from the jaws of impossibility. When aerospace engineers watched prototype rockets burst into fireballs, their leader's mantra became, "Failure is not an option, because humanity's future depends on these flights." That sense of obligation turned debris fields into launch pads and setbacks into lessons. Link the three phrases and you possess a living algorithm for success. Begin every morning with a deliberate pause, a deep breath, and a spoken affirmation. I can learn whatever today requires. I will act on my priorities. I must honor the mission I carry. Then translate belief into behavior. Break monumental objectives into daily measurable acts. 10 pages read, 20 lines of code written, 30 minutes of exercise completed. Track progress where your eyes can see it, because visible momentum fuels invisible determination. Expect resistance. Some days, confidence will sag under criticism, fatigue, or silence from the results you crave. In those moments, return to the mantra like a climber ties back into the rope. Say it out loud, even if your voice trembles. I can reminds you of past evidence, skills learned, obstacles already conquered. I will restates the covenant that yesterday's self made with tomorrow's dream. I must reignites urgency by picturing the people who depend on your breakthrough, including your future self. Guard your environment to protect the mantra's power. Surround yourself with individuals who speak possibility, not limitation. Curate social feeds that showcase grit and generosity instead of cynicism. Fill your space with objects that symbolize progress: a vision board, a diploma frame waiting for its certificate, a pair of running shoes at the door. These are visual choruses echoing your verbal declaration, and together they create a surround sound track of determination. Finally, share the mantra. Teach it to a child wrestling with math homework, to a colleague staring down a daunting sales target, to a friend attempting to rebuild life after loss. When I can, I will, I must travels from your lips to theirs, you multiply its strength and discover a truth. Older than any motivational hashtag, courage is contagious. So step across today's threshold armed with 3 short sentences and the certainty that they are engines, not ornaments. Whisper them in the quiet before dawn, roar them in the face of fear. Repeat them as many times as it takes for belief to harden into conviction. Let the echo of those words propel your feet, steady your hands, and light your eyes. And when night finally falls, look back on the ground you covered and know it was never luck or talent alone. It was the relentless rhythm of a mind set to one unbreakable beat. I can, I will, I must.